Hello, my name is Haley, and I'm a research assistant with the Center for Children, Families, and Workforce Development. Today I want to provide you with a brief overview of evidence-based practice, what it is, what it isn't, and how to apply it within your organization and community. The National Association of Social Workers defines evidence-based practice as a process in which the practitioner combines well-researched interventions, clinical expertise, ethics, client preferences, and culture to guide and inform the delivery of treatment and services. I want to emphasize that the evidence-based practice is a continual process in which new research needs to be incorporated as it emerges and as you work with different clients. So let's take a deeper look at the evidence-based process. It all starts with asking a question of how you can serve your clients in your community better. Next, you're going to want to search the literature to look for innovative and emerging practices and tried and true methods to serving this population. You want to incorporate clinical knowledge from yourself and your colleagues into the practice, and you also want to accommodate client preferences, values, and culture to be sure that you are serving them best. And the last step in the evidence-based process is evaluating results and ensuring that the program that you implemented is working as you desired it to. Let's take a look at how to work on that step 2 of searching the literature and gathering evidence. So evidence is taken from a variety of sources. When we're looking at where to gather evidence, there are external sources such as systematic reviews, randomized control trials, best practices, and clinical practice guidelines. There are also internal evidence sources such as quality improvement projects, healthcare provider expertise, client preferences, and values and culture, as I talked about before. Even though you have all these resources available to help you determine what is the best source for an evidence-based practice, that can be a daunting task. And luckily, there are many helpful tools available to help you find an evidence-based practice that would work for your organization and for the people that you are serving. I have included several databases on this slide where you can find hundreds and hundreds of evidence-based practices. The Annie E. Casey Foundation Blueprints for Healthy Youth Development provides hundreds of evidence-based programs from well-supported to promising practices that you can search by topic and by target population. There's also the Promising Practices Network, the California Evidence-Based Clearinghouse, the Clearinghouse for Military Family Readiness, and the Friends Matrix of Evidence-Based Practice. I have included links where you can access these websites in the description box below this video, so check them out and use them as a resource in which you can easily find evidence-based programs. Next, I want to take a look at an evidence-based program that has been effective in Montana and throughout the nation, and that's Nurse-Family Partnership. This program serves low-income women who are pregnant with their first child. Parents are partnered with a registered nurse early in their pregnancy and receive ongoing nurse home visits for over a year. Nurse-Family Partnerships helps families and the communities that they live in become stronger while also saving money for state, local, and federal governments. It has been shown that for every dollar spent on this program, there is a $5.7 return. That is huge. There has also been proven to be a 48% reduction in child abuse and neglect among families that have been served by this program. There's a 56% reduction in emergency room visits for accidents and poisoning. And there is also been shown to be a 67% less amount of intellectual and behavioral issues at children at age 6 who have been served by Nurse-Family Partnership. So this is huge. Evidence-based programs can make big changes and big impacts in our communities. Next, I want to talk a little bit about making EBTs culturally relevant. Not all EBTs are designed or tested on a variety of cultural groups, and because of this, they may not be culturally relevant for the diverse populations that your organization serves, and in this case, they may need to be modified. According to SAMHSA, it can be appropriate to modify an EBT when it does not seem culturally relevant. And the way that you want to do this is by involving your community and diverse stakeholders in the process. Decide together which components of the program seem like they would work or wouldn't work. Decide on modifications you may want to make. And begin using the modified EBT, and always remember to evaluate it and see if it is making the impact that you hoped it would, and whether the people you are hoping to serve better feel served better. So as we're talking about modifying EBTs, I want to make a quick note about fidelity. So what is fidelity? It's the extent to which a program or practice is implemented as it was intended to be. So some thoughts about adaptation. SAMHSA recommends that when adapting programs, you retain the core components of the program, like the setting and the length of the program, and that you try to increase local readiness by really engaging stakeholders. You also want to add rather than subtract components of the program whenever possible. So add in culturally specific pieces rather than taking out big chunks of the program that were meant to be implemented. And lastly, seek the consultation and advice of experts, program creators, and the people you are trying to serve, as they were really the experts in what they need and in what would work best with their values and preferences. So that is a brief overview of evidence-based practice and really how to make it work for your community and the people you are trying to serve. I hope this is helpful. Thank you.